keeps trying to people, but they succeed.
Haha.
Oh, you did.
All right, Barry, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
For you today. So Marla's here. You can take it away. Have fun.
That table.
And Frank, is that Frank?
Yep, you got Frank, Wayne, and you got Beatrice in here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to see you. It's hard to, hi, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Liza,
You look
good
wonderful.
to see you. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
You too. Back at you.
So I can barely see the lady on the left, on your left, but
Right here?
yeah, maybe she could just move a little bit inward.
Maybe she go back.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, and hi, Marla.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Alan, is that what's your name on the yeah, you, yeah.
That's Wayne.
Wayne, right. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so it is a beautiful morning. The sun is shining today. The plants of the world are drinking in the sunlight. The earth is turning. How amazing is that the earth turns? In the last hour, we have rotated, how far? More than 1,000 miles. Imagine that. The earth is turning at more than 1,000 miles an hour.
Wow, amazing.
That's pretty amazing, right?
Very funny right now.
And so that is keeping the earth from becoming too hot on one side and too cold on the other. Right? Otherwise, we'd be like a barbecue that wasn't turning. And we'd be barbecued in no time. So isn't it amazing that the earth is turning and the earth is also moving around the sun? How fast does the earth move around the sun? About 66,000 miles an hour. And you believe that? 66,000 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. You know, our rockets don't travel that fast. You only need to be 25,000 miles an hour to leave the Earth to the moon. And you only need 18,000 miles an hour to go around the Earth as a satellite. But the Earth is going around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. And the Earth and the sun are also moving through space with the other planets, and I think it's something like 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up again. So that gives you some idea of the many motions that are occurring all the time on this good Earth. Isn't that amazing that there is all this activity, and yet from our perspective, the Earth seems like it's not moving at all. Right? I mean, if we're standing on the ground, it doesn't appear to be moving. The wind doesn't appear to be blowing in our face because of the movement of the Earth. And the stars and the sun are moving around the earth in what is apparent their own motion moving around the earth, but that is, as we know now, an illusion, right? An illusion that because of the fact that we are moving with the earth that is moving, we don't experience the motion of the earth. A long time ago, people believed that if the earth moved, there would be a big wind in your face. And that was one of the reasons why people thought that it was impossible that the earth moved. At any rate, there are the movement, or I should say, the non-movement of the earth is an illusion. And there are many, many illusions that we have about ourselves and the world that we are only beginning to understand now. And one of those illusions is that we're sitting on solid ground, that the chair under our behinds is solid, and the ground under our feet is solid. But in fact, scientists tell us that it is not. It is mostly empty space. But it is space full of powerful forces. And these forces have intertwined to create the world that we see around us. That's pretty amazing. Einstein believed that the universe was made of fields of energy that somehow intertwined to create what we call atoms and molecules, and that these, what we call the mass of the world or the matter, actually is not the way we think it is, but are simply fields of energy that have woven together the world around us. Who are we? Are we a body? Or perhaps are we something other than a body? Are we consciousness that has taken a form? Is life something that is like an energy field moving through all the world, becoming this and that? All life is made of the same material. All life follows the same laws. All life is like a stream that is constantly renewing itself. You know, I was in my bathroom once, and there was a trail of ants going across the bathtub. And I looked at them, and I said, wait a minute, what's going on here? Look at all these ants that are seemingly the same, right? When you look at a bunch of ants moving across the floor or the table, you see ants that look more or less the same, right? And what does that tell us? These ants are being born and living and dying, and basically they're all the same. We appear different from each other, but if you took us apart, if you opened up the cells of the body, if you could see into the heart of our our construction, you would see the same cells, you would see the same blood, you would see the same bones. The differences are very slight between us. Much more of who we hold in common. Life is like a great river, in which there is a renewal at all times. The cells of our body is renewing itself are renewing themselves at all times. The skin renews itself every 3 or 4 days, at least the top layer. The stomach, about every 2 weeks, you get new stomach cells, you get new bone cells all the time. Blood cells are made by the billions in every hour. And so the body is this constant renewal, constant repair, constant refreshing itself. How amazing is that?
Very amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Already.
I mean, if something goes wrong with your car, you have to uh, stop the car and fix it, right? You don't usually fix a car while it's running, while it's moving down the road, but the body fixes itself while it's running. That's pretty incredible, right? Our cells are always repairing themselves, always finding things that might go wrong and replacing them. Inside the cell, there's just a wonder of activity that we're just beginning to understand. And this wonder of activity is so complicated and so amazing as that it really boggles the mind as to try to understand how any of this could have ever come about. A single cell in the body is like a small city, a small um, uh, place of immense activity, where the molecules of the cells, such as water and proteins and fats and starches, are continually moving around, continually reformed, and it's absolutely amazing. I wasn't going to talk too much about the cell today, um, but just touching on it is the wonder of the body. Um, as you know, the theory of life is the theory of the cell. About 100 years ago, people discovered that the cell was the basic unit of life. Before then, they had no idea how the body was actually maintained and was put together. Um, we know we have organs such as heart and lungs and liver and bones and skin and eye and all sorts of large machinery, you might say. But every one of those organs is made of tiny, tiny cells, which are in themselves like a body with organs. It's pretty amazing, really. Um, any questions or comments? So, So each moment we are constantly being renewed and sustained by our cells. We are being renewed and sustained by the sun, which is bringing us energy 24/7, as they say these days. I'm going to have a drink of water, which is another of the wonders of this world. Water is a very, very special liquid, unlike any other liquid, which would not substitute for water in any sense. We live because of water. Water makes up most of the molecules of the body, and water supports all the structures within and without the cell. Water engages, or rather the body engages water in its fundamental processes, such as digestion. We couldn't take apart what we eat without water. Water finds its way into the crannies of our food and takes the food apart. Isn't that amazing? Water enables the enzymes, the proteins that break down the food to work. Water supports the structure of the cell, especially the DNA inside the cell, which would collapse and form a mass of tangled threads if it was not for water. So water, you could write volumes and volumes of books on water and how water enables life. How did life begin? Most people think it began in water. We don't know actually how life began. We don't even know really what life is. Maybe life is like the taste of an apple. How does an apple happen to taste in a peculiar way? Why does a peach taste different from an apple? Why is there life in the universe? These all may be the same question. Life may be inherent in the universe. It may be a quality of the universe. You see what I'm trying to say? It's not something that just happened. It's something that is part and parcel of the universe. All things are giving life its qualities, its possibilities. Here, I've drunk this water, and now the water has become part of me. Right? When we drink some water, or even when we take in some food, that food or the water becomes part of us. I love that idea that the water is now us. And so the universe is a place where things intermingle, where things become part of each other, where things cycle through, where the atmosphere and the oceans form a continuous kind of play, a continuous kind of ongoing activity in which one becomes the other. Water in the oceans evaporates into the sky, becomes part of the sky, moves through the sky as clouds becomes rain and falls back down into the oceans, and the cycle repeats itself. We have many, many cycles in the world. We have the cycle of the water. We have the cycle of nitrogen. Nitrogen is a kind of atom that without nitrogen you couldn't have things growing. We couldn't make our important parts of our cells, such as proteins and the DNA, without nitrogen. We can only get nitrogen from plants. We can't take it from the air. The air is full of nitrogen, but it's useless to us. It has to be made useful by plants, which then we eat, and we can extract the nitrogen that we need for our body. How incredible is that? The atom carbon, which, what is that? We find it in the air as carbon dioxide. This carbon allows the body to create different structures that would be impossible without carbon, because the carbon has the ability to latch on to different atoms and make long chains of things, such as starches and fats and proteins. And so without this carbon, the whole system, the whole living world would collapse. So the world is based on the atoms, which each of the atoms has a particular role to play in our lives. I find that amazing. I find that mind-blowing. But what does that mean? It means that, for one thing, it means that the structure of the world, which begins with the atoms, is what makes life possible. And that each and every moment we are indebted to the nature of the atoms that surround us, without which our lives wouldn't be. What other atoms besides nitrogen and carbon are necessary? Can somebody mention another atom that is necessary to our existence? We have atoms like sulfur, that's necessary. Phosphorus, that's necessary. Why is phosphorus necessary? Because phosphorus doesn't like water. And when the membranes on our cells are only possible because we have phosphorus atoms embedded in the membranes, which turn away from water and make the little membranes that surround our cells possible. We need these membranes to keep stuff inside the cell, so that the outer world that surrounds the cell doesn't break the cell up. And so we have one of the most important things, this little film that is called the membrane around every of the 30 trillion cells in our body. Each one of those cells has a kind of membrane, and the membrane is only possible because of phosphorus, which is an atom that doesn't like water, so it turns away from water and helps to create this little film that surrounds every cell. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have a question for you, because I'm looking at something right now. It says about 99% of your body is made of of atoms. Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. It says we got about 25 different, so the scientists believe that 25 of the known elements are essential to life. Just 4 of these are the carbon, oxygen, hydro, and the nitrogen.
Right.
The human body. You guys do that? Wow.
Right. That's amazing, right? I mean,
They're like the biochemical molecules in us.
right, right. All life depends on a couple of dozen atoms. And most of the body is made of only 4 atoms: hydrogen, what is the other one? Hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon.
Carbon, yeah.
So, which happen to be the most plentiful atoms, fortunately for us. If they were very rare, we might not be here.
So, it says conclusion says human body is made up of cells, which in turn made up of various molecules, and molecules ultimately made up of atoms.
Atoms.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, and how do we account for the existence of atoms? Where did atoms come from? Which is quite remarkable in its own way. The first atoms were created in the first moment of the Big Bang, right? We know about this thing called the Big Bang. What was that? About 14 billion years ago, there was an explosion of energy and matter, and that was the beginning of the present universe. Now, we don't know what came before. There may have been another universe, and there could have been another universe before that one. But in the first moment of our present universe, what occurred? The atom hydrogen appeared, and helium appeared, and that was the start of the current universe. Now, those 2 atoms, you couldn't build the world that we experience today from those 2 atoms, right? All there was hydrogen and helium. Well, you couldn't build an earth from that. You couldn't have water from that, because water has not only hydrogen but another atom called what? Oxygen, right? Oxygen. Um, and without oxygen, there would be no water and subsequently no life. So, um, where did these atoms like oxygen and carbon and phosphorus and nitrogen, where did they come from if they weren't there in the beginning? And then that's really, it's really mind blowing to think that how did the universe go from just hydrogen and helium to the 92 atoms that make up the universe today, and those atoms are crucial to life. So we know now, we just have discovered now that the atoms that surround us were actually made after the birth of stars. That the atoms are the result of stars processing the hydrogen and helium into higher atoms, into heavier atoms, and eventually throwing those atoms out into space, where they form new stars and planets. Just like a living thing, just like something that is um, um, growing and reforming itself, and um, behaving in a way, in a lifelike way. Some scientists called the universe an ecosystem, what is an ecosystem? This is a word that I didn't grow up with. Maybe you too. I'm probably around the same age as you folks, but I don't remember the word ecosystem when I was growing up. That came later. And what it means is that life maintains a kind of relationship, that all life is in relationship with all life. And so you have a constant flow of life based on the relationships that take place in what we call ecosystem. Um, Echo means alive, I believe, um, and um, and so all all life is a continuum that is revolving around a relationship, and the stars and the planets have a relationship as well. The stars formed early in the universe after, I shouldn't say that early because it took a few millions of years for the stars to form. In the beginning, there were just great clouds of hydrogen gas and helium gas and no stars. The universe was dark. And then eventually this hydrogen gas pulled together and started to heat up and became stars, which was something completely new in the universe. And these stars are systems unto themselves. They are able to maintain their energy over billions of years and bring light and warmth to planets which have formed out of the atoms which were made in stars. How amazing is that? We've sort of run out of time here. I want to just close with a poem by Mary Oliver. And this poem is called What Gorgeous Thing. I do not know what gorgeous thing the bluebird keeps saying, his voice easing out of his throat, beak, body, into the pink air of the early morning. I like it, whatever it is. Sometimes it seems the only thing in the world that is without dark thoughts. Sometimes it seems the only thing in the world that is without questions that can't and probably never will be answered. The only thing that is entirely content, the only thing that is entirely content with the pink, then clear white morning, and gratefully says so. Maybe I'll read this one more time. What gorgeous thing! I do not know what gorgeous thing the bluebird keeps saying, his voice easing out of his throat, beak, body into the pink air of the early morning. I like it, whatever it is. Sometimes it seems the only thing in the world that is without questions, that can't and possibly never will be answered. The only thing that is entirely content with the pink, then clear, white morning, and gratefully says so. I was going to talk about speech today, which is part of this bluebird song, but maybe I'll save that for next time. Anyway, thank you for your attention this morning, and it was wonderful to see everybody. And do you have any questions or comments? No. Okay, so then we'll we'll wait till next week for another class, and I hope everyone stays well and keeps keeps questioning, keep questioning, um, and I hope you have a nice afternoon. Take care. It's great to see everyone. Till next time. Bye bye.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your being here and allowing me to do this. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Barry. Hand. Nice work, Barry. Okay, I gotta figure out how to pause it. Oh, here we go. Stop recording.